Everyone. This is a demonstration of how to use the Mazda EPC for finding parts for your RX-7. What we're going to be using here is the online version at this address here. I never remember it, even though it's pretty straightforward. It's a Russian site, so one thing to be wary of, or at least one thing that's helpful, is to have Google Chrome installed, because it will try and automatically detect the web page for you and what language it's in, so you can actually translate it to English. That's the one sort of downside of using this online version, is that it's not in English, but I'll show you how to sort of get around some of that and use it to find the parts you need. So to begin with, if you go to the site, I'll just show you what happens when you first get to the site. Or actually, sorry, go to the home page here. Internet is a little slow. Okay, so you'll sort of get to EPC data RU here. If you click on the Mazda one, you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to take us to the Mazda subdomain. And then from here, we're interested in RX-7s. Ignore the Savannah RX-7 there. I think that's for an older generation. And you'll then get to here. Now, this is a Russian probably logbook or something. What it's telling you to do here, if we translate it, is basically put in your chassis ID. Come on, translate. Yeah, okay, so you know the number, right? Fortunately, I have, as they say in cooking shows, one I prepared earlier. So this is a chassis number I'm going to plug in. This is my own RX-7, and for those who don't know, this means it's a version 3. So because it starts with a 3 here, the way Mazda did the FD series was that 1 usually meant version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or that's how they start with whichever number depending on your year and make. If you've got an American or Northern American, or even some European ones, the VIN might be different. Same with the Australian delivered ones. I don't know if they work with this catalog. But anyway, to get on with the show, this is my VIN number. So I'm going to do find here, and just watch the address bar, by the way. So what you'll see is it adds this parameter to the end of the URL here, frame underscore number equals my chassis number. And so what that will do is it'll automatically give me all the part numbers that are relevant to my year of RX-7. As you know, Mazda changed some of the bits over the years, particularly for the later FDs. There's quite a lot of differences, so it's good to use your exact chassis number to make sure you're going to get the right part for your car. Obviously, some cars have been changed over the years, and that's a whole other kettle of fish. But just generally, that is this is going to be the best way to find the bit you need. Another cool thing about this, just because I'm demoing it and I think it's worth mentioning, you can actually use this EPC software to sort of find out a bit about the specification of your car as it left the factory. So in this case, I can see it's returning some information here. Now the translate hasn't come up, but I believe this is like the build date. So mine, or it's dated 95. What else can we see? It came as a 5-speed manual transmission, had the limited slip diff. It gives the diff ratio and a few other things. Or it also mentions the type. So mine's a type RB or type R Bathurst. 3L is the paint code. Sometimes the Chrome won't always translate the page for you, but if you do translate it, it'll tell you what all these sort of things are. It gives you a rough idea. So if you're not sure on a specific car you might be looking at for sale and you want to know what grade it was that left the factory as, you could plug it into this to give you at least some idea. Anyway, now to find the particular parts, these links here are different sections of the EPC. So you can see they're all in Russian because it hasn't translated it. But if we look down the bottom of the page, so down here, as I mouse over them, you can see what sections they are. So this is going to be for engine and transmission. The next section here will be for cooling and stuff like that. Then we have the chassis and the brake system. We have piping and fuel and electrics, exterior, dashboard, interior, and I think this is like for things like stickers and under bonnet decals and stuff like that. What I'm going to do is one of the things just to be wary of is that sometimes the parts you're looking for are not always in the section you expect them to be. I guess it's a bit of a subjective thing where you expect to find things. But let's say, for example, I'm looking for, I don't know, a rear spoiler or something. So I'm going to go to exterior section here. And it'll bring up a diagram here. Now, don't worry if the picture doesn't match your car. So, if you enter the later chassis number or something, you might see this is like the earlier looking version of the FD. Sometimes you'll even see the FC RX-7 in the diagrams here. I think it's just Mazda didn't update all that in the EPC, and they just sort of left it. Different RX-7 models were shown, but the part numbers should still be correct. So don't worry too much about that. I think it's more just the programmers or whatever didn't get around to it. So I said I was going to look for a rear spoiler. So 21 here. If we look down here, I can see this number 7800. If I go to the right here, we can sort of confirm, and so this part is actually in English, which is useful. 7800 is spoiler and related parts. So I'm going to click into that section, or you can actually click here as well. It'll actually take you to the same thing. So I'm going to just click on this one though. And I have to wait for this to load as well. And what this will do is give me a different exploded view of this section of the EPC. So if I scroll down, here's my rear spoiler. Now, you can actually see there are two different versions here. Just sort of an interesting fact is that I have seen some 95 models with like the version 4 rear wing, sort of like a Series 7 as they're called. Rear wing that came sort of on the 96 to 98 models, but I did see them in late 95 also, so that's probably why it's shown here as well. So this is sort of a later style one, or the in-between, I don't know, the Zenki, Chuki, what's the other one, Kuki, the Japanese way of referring to early late models and stuff like that. What I'm interested in is this particular rear wing here. Now, what I have to do is try and figure out the part number for this rear blade. Now, it may actually come as one entire assembly. So 51950 is the number to look up. And 51950, I am blind. There it is. Okay. So clicking on that will then give me, and this is interesting too to know, it will give me the part number. So there's a couple of different ones given to me here. I think it's saying the different specifications and like what, type RS, type RZ, that sort of thing. What's also cool is that it contains 3L, which is my paint code. So if your car is still the original paint code, you can potentially order the right color-coded part. I don't know if Mazda is still doing that. You'd be a bit of a hit and miss affair, I'd imagine. But yeah, I can also see that there's another one here for the Type R and Type RB. So that's probably the part I need. Now, this part of it is the actual part number. The 3L is obviously the designation for the paint code. So that would be what you'd give to your dealer. Now, I use a site here, Amayama, sometimes to look up these different part numbers. Hopefully it's up. Yes, it is. Slow internet, unfortunately. Oh, come on. Okay. Now, once this is loaded, I will replace this example part number with my FD's part number. And hopefully, nope, it's not returning it. All right, so I'm just going to see if this makes a difference. Sometimes part numbers don't show up either because their database doesn't have them, or they're so old that they actually don't return anything. So in this case, I had to include the 3L. So that's interesting. What you might find is that there might be a part number without any paint on it, just in primer. It would probably involve a bit more digging through the EPC, but usually having at least this much information is good when you go to your local dealer, and you know that can usually get you so far. You can see that the price is quite high, and it does tell me that it's available. I can add it to my cart, and you can obviously change currency and stuff here. So that's just using this particular site to order parts. You can order from anywhere once you have the part number. What else can I show you? So let's just say I wanted, on the front lip spoiler here, I wanted to find this particular, not wing nut, but like clip 50335. Oh, it does give a description here actually, so clip nut. Probably lost in translation along the way. So I can't recall what this is for. I'd have to maybe translate it. I think it might say that you need 10. So there might be 10 for, you don't have to order 10, but I think 10 is how many may be used on the front lower lip. And we can see that for one, it is $1. So I could theoretically add 10. I think that's what the EPC is telling me, is there's 10. So if you wanted all 10, that's how many are used. That will save you sort of counting them all up one by one. And that's pretty much the process for finding any parts. The most tricky part of using this is really just to find, I guess, the right section of the EPC for the part you're looking for. As I say, sometimes things are not always kept under the taxonomy structure that you would expect. So when you're looking through this, it's really sometimes just a case of trial and error, trying different sections. To go back, you've got these breadcrumbs here that will help you go back. One other thing to notice is that my frame number parameter, this URL parameter, is in every page, and that's how the EPC or the web-based EPC knows to return information for my particular car, no matter what section I'm in. So if you didn't add it at the start there on that sort of logbook page, you can add it at any section. And just to see that that's how it works, click into like here. You can still see it's persistent in the URL no matter where I go. If I go into let's say I want to go into the interior section, maybe I want, let's see. So actually, here's a good example. This is the FC RX-7 interior. So even though I'm in the, I'm looking for FD parts, it's showing me the FC. So let's say I was looking for a seat. So look up number 15700, front seat with reclining mechanism. And you can see, and there were actually, the seats is a good one because there are a lot of different options in terms of the trim and the, if they were a suede seat or they had that sort of carbon finish, which is what my car originally had. If I scroll down, actually, I can actually find the much loved Recaro RZ seats. So in the past, I've often used this EPC to find parts for these because it's really hard to get parts through any dealers or anything. So this gives us an exploded view. You can actually see the entire seat rail. You'll have to price them up on your own. They are hideously expensive, along with the cushions and stuff. But let's just, I don't know, let's take a cushion here, or even the outer fabric, because often these wear in terms of the outer fabric um, over the years, so it's really hard to find a good pair. So 886K1. So side trim, yep. So this is on the driver side in a you know Japanese market car. Okay, so I have this part number here, and I'm just gonna go here and look up the price, which prepare to have your eyes water a little, I'm sure, if it comes back. Yeah, so $1,000. Yeah, they are available, but they cost a shit ton. Yeah. So that's sort of, I guess, really probably too long a guide to how to use this thing. There are other sections with fasteners and stuff. You can get into some sort of like the fasteners in themselves. There's different codes, like this X and this W mean different things, and the Y and stuff. I think that usually means where, so if you're reading this, you can see this X bolt goes into the X location here. This W goes here. So there's little subtle nuances like that you might have to get familiar with when reading this EPC. Like this washer here, you can see actually you follow the diagram, and it will go to the underside of this seat belt clip. So these are quite useful once you know how to read them, but it can just take a little while to get familiar with it. And by studying it, you can sort of pick up a lot on it. But I hope that's useful. Hope that helps you find the parts you're looking for and saves me replying to everyone and telling them what part number they need and potentially getting it wrong. This way you can get it wrong on your own. That's it. Any suggestions or feedback, let me know. I'm happy to do more of these if they're useful. Thanks.